How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's project is on this Snapper Re110 rear mounted engine, uh, sort of just homeowner lawn tractor. And the problem the customer is saying is that he wants the belt replaced, and he's saying that there's issues with the drive system going up and down hills. So we're going to take a look at that for him. So stay tuned, and hopefully this is going to be informative for you guys. Alright guys, so I don't know how well that camera picked it up, but the transmission is definitely not working as it should. It's kind of slipping almost. Seemed to work okay in the reverse setting, but as soon as I tried to go forward, you can see I'm trying to bounce up and down, and that didn't seem to work out so well. It didn't want to go forward very well. The ether, or the quick start down there, seemed to just kind of be enough primer to kind of get this thing running. But what I'm worried about is this thing has, for transmission, has a drive disc, kind of like a snowblower, and that drive disc would be right in there. You can kind of see it right there. To me, even from here, I can see through that open hole, it kind of looks like it's cracked. So what I'm going to have to do is take off this back panel and get a better look at that drive disc on camera here. So it's probably 1, 2, 3, either half inch or 7, probably half-inch bolts, something like that. And you might have to take these ones off too. So I'll get this all taken off here, and we'll take a closer look at that drive disc. All right, so I got the ones on the sides and 3 on the front here off, and looks like there is a spring here that I'm gonna have to take off. I just want to make sure, in case it falls off the other end, I want to make sure I see where it's attached on the other end. So it looks like there's a series of holes there, and it looks like it's attached to, that looks like the second, but you can see getting access to this is pretty easy. And I would say that this is definitely a major problem with regards to why this thing is not going in the forward gear, because that friction disc is definitely all cracked. You can see it's all cracked there all the way around. It's probably worn down, and that drives up here up against this drive disc, this drive wheel, which is directly linked to the crankshaft of the engine. So this is constantly spinning, and when you engage the transmission, this is going to pull up. This is going to pull up against the bottom of this disc, and then depending on where it rotates or where it meets up with this disc is going to determine the gearing. So it's either, you know, forward on this side of center and reverse on this side, or vice versa. I'm not 100% certain on this one. So definitely going to need a new friction disc for this particular machine. All right, so I'm going to work on getting this spring off. It just comes out through this front end here. I'll get that spring off and see if we can get this to open up a little bit more. All right, guys, so after a little more investigative work, unfortunately, in addition to the friction disc, we're going to have to order a couple of these boots that protect the axle, the shaft here. This one's busted on that side. This one's busted on this side here. So I'm going to order those in. I'm going to order in the new belt, new friction disc, and a new air filter, and probably a new spark plug. And when all that stuff comes in, I'll figure all that out, and we'll bring you back and show you how to replace all that. How's it going, guys? We're back working on this Snapper Re110 riding mower, and we're going to today we're going to tackle this drive disc repair. So I've got in a couple of parts here. I got the thrust washer, or Stens calls it a drive disc gasket, and there's your part numbers there. And also I've got the drive disc kit with the liner as well. Here's your numbers. And we're going to go ahead and lift this thing up with my brand new winch system. I made a video, and I'll link to it down below and in the top corner here now. And we're going to try and get this thing up in the air and work underneath the back end here where that drive disc is. Let me bring you in here and show you what we're looking at. So this is going to make life a hell of a lot more easy with this up in the air. I don't have to crouch down. So you can see this drive disc definitely needs to be repaired. So we're going to take a look at that next. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is spray a little penetrating lubrication on all those bolts. So next thing I'm going to do is you got to remove all 4 of these bolts. The problem is you can't just, you know, rotate them here, because this is just going to move. So you need a way to somehow stop this from moving. So a little trick I'm going to steal and give props to Eliminator Performance. If you haven't seen their channel, go check that out, because Jake over there's got plenty of good tips. Is stick a little flathead screwdriver or something here, just to prevent this thing from rotating, and then you can loosen each one of these off as you're going around. And once you got them loose, they're pretty easy to come out after that. So So I should be able to alright, so that one's super loose, super loose, super loose, and super loose. So they should all just spin off. So right behind this plate here, there's that thrust washer, that sort of cardboard paper based washer. So once we take this plate off, you should probably see that. Alright, so all four of those come off, then this plate comes off, and there's that washer, which I probably didn't need to replace. It looks like it's in good shape, but I got a new one anyways, and then this guy should come right off. Easy peasy. Alright, so I'm going to take this one and go and compare it with the new one over here on my bench. I'll show you the difference between the two. So you could take a look and see why this guy was not having any luck getting the transmission to go backwards and forwards. Now this little gasket thing here is just a little bit too big. I don't even think I'll be able to kind of wiggle that in together. So I'm gonna have to shave a little bit off. Just get yourself a little knife here, kind of shave some of this off. Just make sure you don't cut yourself in the process. Let's see how we did there. All right, good, perfect. All right, you can see this old one, whoever, this is probably installed from the factory, but there's actually a little gap there, so I don't think it matters if it's super, super tight or if there's a little bit of a gap there. Should be okay. All right, so now we're ready to reinstall. All right, so just the reverse. Now, you're going to need to make sure that your transmission, probably going to need to make sure that the transmission's in the neutral position. Let me kind of show you why. All right, so if I put it in the full forward position and try and get the disc on here, it's probably not going to fit, only because with it being, you know, far over to the right here, and engaged. And when I say engaged, in the neutral position, this rod actually comes down some and actually gives more space in here. Now, that was fine when I had a worn out friction disc, but now that I have a new friction disc, there's just not enough room there, which means you're gonna have to get it put it in the neutral position first. All right, so I got it back in the neutral position, which means you can see that this whole assembly actually is sitting a little bit lower because of the position of this rod. So it's sitting lower and further away, giving much more room. to be able to slide this brand new friction disc onto the assembly here. There we go, easy peasy. Next thing I'm gonna do is install my new thrust washer. And then the plate. Now this thrust washer, you can see, you know, there's quite a bit of play there. So when you put the plate on and then you start tightening up the bolts, what you're going to want to do is make sure that thrust washer is kind of in a centered, neutral position. So stick this plate on, and then that thrust washer behind it is kind of it's got to be as centered as you can get it. You can kind of see there, it's not sticking out. It's kind of even all the way around with the plate on the outside. So to prevent it from moving, I'm just going to quickly throw one or two of these on hand tight, which should keep it nice and firm and in position that I want it. There we go. So I'll tighten all these up. Again, I'm going to have to use the same trick using the pry bar, but just instead of it being on the top, like I was showing you in the top, you're going to have to do it on the bottom because you're spinning it the opposite direction. And again, we'll just use this bottom one as we tighten up the top. And you're going to want to tighten them sort of in a crisscross pattern. And I don't have the torque specs on this, but you know, usually common sense dictates, you know, don't over tighten. And as I'm tightening, I'm pulling up on this crowbar as I'm sort of spinning downwards with the socket and ratchet. Okay, so then I'll do the next one kitty or across from it. And there you go, guys. That's all there is to changing out one of these friction discs on one of these snappers. So hopefully this video is going to be helpful for some people out there who might have one of these Snapper Re110s. I know there's a couple of different variations of this same model, 100, and then I don't know how high it goes up, just a different horsepower engine on these things. But hopefully it's going to be informative and helpful to some. And if you like the video, please show me a little love. Smash the like button down below. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and add those down below. I do answer each and every one of the comments. So thanks for all the support. And until our next project, take care.